to this safe space of mine. This is the school of marriage. As a matter of fact, there should be schools of marriage everywhere in the world. Marriage should be introduced as a course right from the elementary section of education. Do you know why? Because marriage is the only institution that never goes on retirement. Marriage is the only institution, is the only department that never expires. It is till death do us part. But ironically, marriage is not taught in many educational milieus. Marriage is not being taught, and many get into it without proper equipping, without proper training. As a result, we hear things like marriage is not the bed of roses. I stand to disagree to that because I understand that marriage was designed by God to be a bed of roses. And God Himself, that instituted marriage, has parameters guiding marriage. So, if we should get into marriage, then there should be a manual from marriage from God Himself. Yes, there should be a lesson note for marriage from God Himself. Now, I want you to understand that there are not overnight specialists. No, there are no overnight specialists, and there are no quick fix miracles in becoming a specialist. What am I saying? For any person to become a specialist, the person takes proper training. The person undergoes about 25 to 30 years of the person's entire age to become a specialist in any field of life. There are schools everywhere that trains people, medical doctors. There are schools everywhere that trains teachers. There are schools everywhere that trains engineers. And there are places everywhere that even train hairdressers, seamstresses. There are schools everywhere that train people to becoming specialists. But what do we see about marriage? What do we see about marriage? And can you believe that somebody will spend 25 to 30 years of his entire age just to become a specialist as a medical doctor? Yet, you serve just for about 35 years and you go on retirement. Somebody will spend 25 to 30 years of his entire age spending lots and lots of millions of money just to become a specialist. Yet that person has not yet understood the end point of what he is undergoing, the training he is undergoing to become. But he bears that risk to spend that amount of money because he has it in quotes. The moment I am trained, I will become a specialist and I will become productive. Nobody can ever become productive in any field of life without being properly trained. Nobody becomes successful in any field of life without being properly trained. Imagine somebody spends 25 to 30 years of his entire age dedicating all of his energies to a particular specialty, to becoming successful, productive, and happy in that field of life. But yet, just 35 years later, you go on retirement. But marriage, what do we do about marriage? We just bump in, with our parents' experience or with what we ourselves we have experienced in relationships. We just carry that mentality to be our manual. We get into marriage with it and we expect to succeed. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. If you can spend 25 to 30 years of your age equipping yourself to become a specialist as a medical doctor, then I stand for the point that you should also spend adequate time, maximum time, equipping yourself if you want to become a specialist in your marriage. If you want to become a specialist as a wife, a specialist as a husband, remember you're getting married to somebody you don't know the background. You don't know where the person is coming from. But yet you have to get yourself joined to that person, understand the person, blend with the person, flow with the person. So how do you get to know this person with this ideology of what you experienced in your family or what your parents, your mother, your father told you? No, God Himself instituted this institution. So God alone knows the parameters He has framed, He has placed for marriage. I heard some people say there are no manuals for marriage. There are manuals for marriage, and there should be manuals, lesson notes for marriage, because God that instituted it never instituted it for you to come in with your ideologies. He instituted it and programmed how it is going to be. So I am only privileged that over time I have learned a portion of that manual that I am coming here to give you free. As a matter of fact, free. Because I searched around the world. I never saw schools. Schools I could enroll myself. Schools I could enroll my children to learn marriage. Yes. So we got there with little or no marriages, and we start facing the challenges, and it is like the institution that God created, He made a mistake creating that institution. We make it look like God created an institution for people to come in and suffer. Never. The institution that God ordained by Himself was for the purpose of your enjoyment. If you are not getting the benefit or the enjoyment in that institution, it is only because you have not been fully equipped or fully trained. You have not yet learned the parameters guiding marriage. You have not humbled yourself to be taught. That is why we have this platform. That is why I'm thanking YouTube so much for giving me this space that I can lavish that which I have learned over time. Now, you might be asking that, but marriage is a lifetime issue. You can never learn everything about marriage before you get in. No, I'm not saying you have to learn everything about marriage before you get in. As a matter of fact, the world is evolving. The world evolves every day. Developments are taking place every day. So you will not also expect that medical doctors should learn everything in school before they get enrolled as professional medical doctors. No, in the process of time, you hear that researches continue to go on. Medical doctors continue to carry out research about the evolution of things. So there are preliminary teachings, there are preliminary lessons you need to know from the Word of God, from God Himself that placed this institution before you get in. There are things you must know before you get into this institution. And as you get in, you don't separate yourself from your lessons. You don't separate yourself from the things that you started learning, but rather you continue the learning process, because even teachers, even hairdressers, they have not stopped learning. So when you get in as a husband, when you get in as a wife, the learning process continues. I am not saying you should learn everything. You will never learn everything. I have not learned everything before I am coming up to say what I'm saying. I have not learned everything. This is just an introduction of a series that we will be carrying on. So wherever you are watching me, I want you to know that what you experience in your family house is not your experience. You cannot carry your family experience into your own marriage, because you as a woman, you are not going to marry your mother's husband. So the behavior of your father is not the behavior of the man you are going to marry. So you can't carry that experience in your family house to your marriage. You are going to be bringing casualty into that marriage. That is why experience is actually not the best teacher in this matter. The Word of God has placed the lesson notes for us to carry on. And by the grace of God, I will be bringing step by step, bit by bit. If you will subscribe to this channel, you press on the notification bell so that each time I upload a video, you go in to check, you will be getting step by step the lessons that guide, that prepares you for this institution you are getting into. And even if you are already into the institution, don't be too proud to learn, because even me that I'm coming out as a teacher, I am still in the learning process. Remember, your mother's experience is not your experience. Your father's experience is not your experience, because the woman you will marry is not your mother. So that woman is not going to be exactly like your mother. So you will not carry your family experience as your lesson note into marriage. You will not carry societal experience. There are no schools for marriages, so the society has they have not properly learned marriage. You will not carry what you see your neighbors doing as your lesson note, as your manual, and carry into your marriage. Yes, you will not do that. So I wait to see you subscribe to this channel. Remember, these lessons are for free, totally for free. It is an opportunity to teach out what I have learned, and it's an opportunity for you to learn what you have never known. Please just subscribe. See you in our next video. Shalom.